baked pork chops in the oven. These pork chops are breaded and they come out so crispy on the outside and they are deliciously juicy on the inside. So yes, welcome you all to this Cooking with Love channel. I hope you are having another blessed day. And look at our specialty for today. You can make it with so many different varieties of side dishes to go with that too, which I will have a tip for you at the end as well. So let's cook. We will be combining all these ingredients a certain way to make sense out of it. Of course, I'll walk you all through it. And just make sure that you're having a nice fresh pork chops to work with. I made this with the ones that they have a bone. You can use either way. They can be boneless, they can have a bone. And I'll explain all these ingredients, how to come up with this delicious pork chops for dinner for you, that they are so crispy, like I said, on the outside. And yes, they are not fried, they are made in the oven, so yes, they are better for you that way. So we are starting with about 3 to 4 pork chops, about 3/4 inch thickness. And you can even dry them a little bit when you are preparing this meal as well. And we are starting with our egg mixture. I used here 1 lightly beaten egg, and I added some ingredients to it. I like to use additional ingredient here, and that is 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, and I have a home mayonnaise recipe for you coming up at the end, so stay put. And 1 teaspoon of spicy brown mustard. That way the dipping here comes out nice and thick. And after dipping them in that egg mixture, we'll be dipping them in 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs and 1/2 cup of regular breadcrumbs, but you can use either ones. I kind of like do it both type of breadcrumbs. And I also added 1/2 cup of cornflakes that I rolled in a Ziploc bag into a very, very fine texture. And you can use all sorts of different ingredients as that too, because it will bring depthness to that texture of the pork chop on the outside. They will be nice and crunchy. You can even use leftovers of potato chips. How about that? So you see, once they are ground up like this, you can do it in the food processor. Or like I said, I use the Ziploc bag and I just roll them up, because you have different depthness, different qualities of that texture to coat your pork chops with. As herbs additionally that I added here, it's about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I'll tell you why. 1 teaspoon paprika, 1 teaspoon of onion or garlic powder, or a little bit of both, and 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning or whatever type of spices you would like to use. And I added all that into our breadcrumbs. And the reason I was saying about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, because additional ingredient that I added here has some salt already in it, and that's why I use a little bit less. You don't have to use that, but I added 1/2 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. It is wonderful in here, believe me. So if you're not using the Parmesan cheese, you might want to add a little bit of more salt. And I love to use some parsley as well. This is just a flat leaf, the Italian parsley in the breadcrumbs. And our mixture is ready to be all mixed up. So we'll just make sure it's all evenly mixed, so when we are ready to coat it, we're getting all the ingredients here on our pork chop. You see, it's a wonderful ingredient mix. And first we will be going with our pork chop and dipping it in the egg, of course. And you see, we have our ingredients all mixed up and ready. So here come our pork chop, and just evenly coated on both sides. And this is nice and thick consistency. With that mayonnaise, that's what makes it a little bit juicier on the inside. Believe it or not, I even use some sour cream sometimes. You can even use some yogurt in here as well. Depends how dangerously you want to get. and just shake it off the excess of it, and we are going into the breadcrumbs. And just push a little bit while you're in there and flip it and coat it, of course, both sides. I use at this point my hand just to make sure that those breadcrumbs, they get really nicely stuck to the pork chop. And you see, just kind of push it in and make sure it's evenly nicely coated, even the edges around the pork chop. And we'll be going into a prepared dish that it's actually nice and shallow, and I covered it with parchment paper. I even spray with some spraying cooking spray. You don't really have to, they really shouldn't get stuck, but just in case, because the Parmesan cheese, I wanted to make sure I'm not gonna get attached here, so I like to spray it just in case. And here you have it, our pork chops are ready to go into the oven. We're just gonna drizzle some olive oil on the top here too for additional crispiness on the outside, and like so, just some olive oil I like to use. And we are going to the oven, like I said, and we will be baking it on 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. That is about 205 Celsius as well. And you see, if they come out nice and crispy on the outside, you can even broil them slightly if you wanted to have them darker, more dangerously that way. But look how wonderful they not only look, but they also taste. Like I said, those breadcrumbs, they come out so nice and crispy on the outside, and such a juicy, nice pork chops on the inside. I serve them here with my 15-minute potatoes, because since you spend all that time on pork chops, which is really not, this is quite easy to make it, and doesn't take that long as well. But those potatoes, they are very quick recipe. I will attach the link to it so you can discover those. They are delicious too. They are nice and coated with garlic and full of flavor as well. I've actually was thinking that I should have used some chives in here. They would have been wonderful too. So let me know what you think about it. Enjoy the pork chops. I know you will, because we do. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.